Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. This is episode number 63 at the BS Machine. And once again, this is your host, Tommy Kendi. And if you are listening to me on the Apple Podcast app, welcome. If you're listening to me on Spotify, welcome. If you're listening to me on one of the other audio channels, welcome there. And if you are listening to me or watching me on my YouTube channel, welcome. How good is it? What an epic experience. It's been a while since I've just spoken myself to the microphone, and I've actually missed it. I like these episodes where it's just me yapping into the microphone and really going for it. And the last 2 or 3 weeks I've had some guests on, and there've been some really epic conversations, and I've got a really cool guest coming on next week and the week after. So I'm looking forward to releasing those. But as many of my listeners know, it is, like this podcast for me is so special. I really enjoy being able to express myself through this podcast, because it just makes me feel safe, to be honest, to be able to do this and to be expressing myself out to the world in this way. And it feels safe, because when you're in I'm in my study and I can just talk into the microphone and it feels good. And I think one of the key things that I've been working through over the last, pretty much my whole fucking life, but especially I feel like this has really been coming up for me the last definitely 2 or 3 months, is this idea of it's vulnerability, to be able to step into vulnerability. But really what that comes down to is this balance between success versus happiness. And it's a huge one, because I find that, obviously over social media and whatever other podcasts you listen to, there's such a big thing where, we look at all these other people and they're just, they seem like they've got their shit together, and they seem like they're doing it. And it's like, yeah, come on, I'll fucking teach you how to be good at life, and I'll teach you how to muster your fucking energy and your power and go out and live a fucking epic life and with no issues, and then you're out doing it. But there is a massive difference between success and happiness. And the only reason I believe that there's a big difference between the two is because when I think of success, and you might think quite similarly too, you might think that this is you might think of it the same, but when I think of success, I think of having a shit ton of money, having the family, the right house, having whatever else, where cock and balls down the road will look into your life and go, oh, well, Tommy must have it together. He's got a big house and a fucking shit ton of money in the bank, and wow, he must be doing all right. He's got beautiful girlfriend, and he's got this and that, and so people, that's what, when I think of success in today's society, that's how I guess I see it, just like any other normal human being. But then you look at happiness, and that's a whole different story, isn't it? Because if you think through your daily life, through your day, how many moments in your day would you actually say that you're experiencing happiness? And it's a pretty, fucked up question, because if you're anything like me, you'll find that there's these fleeting moments through the day where you're actually experiencing proper happiness, and you've got to be able to, one, you have to be aware enough, like conscious enough to experience happiness. And when you can catch yourself in a place of joy, in a place of happiness, then it's almost like you've got to hook into it and keep moving with it. But then also, when you're in this place of success where things are working out for you, and whether it's financially or in your relationships or whatever, and things are working out, it's almost like we try and hook into that as well and just want more of that. And so this is what this episode is going to be about, is it's pretty much success versus happiness. And so what I think you'll find is that when you're in a place in life where you're happy, you're joyful, and things are just flowing for you, and you're doing all the things that you love doing, it's like you don't really give a fuck what people think. And and that's not in an arrogant way, but it doesn't matter what people think, because you're just in this flow, and you have this feeling in your heart, you've got this feeling in the guts that whatever you're doing is just, it just fucking feels right. And for me, most of the time these days is either when I'm coaching clients, or when I'm teaching a yoga class, and I'm in the middle of the yoga class, and there's 30, 40 people in there or whatever, and people are just in flow. I can see people having little moments of like, oh wow, and I see their bodies coming in. Or when I'm coaching clients and they have an aha moment or whatever, they're the moments for me where I feel true happiness, because I feel like I'm being of service to others, but also in a selfish way, it fills me up. It's like fuel for my soul when I do shit like that, and it feels so fucking good. But what I find when it comes to when I try and go for success, when and we've defined success before, but success when I'm trying to go for money, or when I'm trying to go for whatever, the big things where people will look in, what I find is that one of the key things that happens with me is that suddenly I find myself in a situation where it's almost like I'm at the mercy of either outside influence, like people telling me what to do, or telling me how I should be, or telling me that this, if you want to be successful, then these are the steps that you need to take in order for you to have this money, for have the house, to have this, to have that, to have the other thing, then it just feels constricted. And I believe that I'm not talking about true success. I'm talking about the success of the monetary, or the houses, or the girlfriends, or the boyfriends, or whatever the fuck, the kids, all that type of shit, whatever it might mean for you. And so those successes, what they might what they might land, the way they might land in your life is by by people telling you what to do, and telling you how you should be, and telling you how to save your money, or where to spend it, or how to be in a relationship, or what type of relationship you have to be in. And so these things really come up in a way in my life where it just doesn't actually feel right. And so I've been dealing. Oh my god, fuck! Have I got a have I got a story for you guys? And I might actually mention it later, but it's got to. I mean, if you want to talk about daddy issues, holy shit, man! Some stuff came up for me this week with my father, which really threw me for six. And I might talk about that later on, because I mean, you know what, I will talk about that later on, because it's a super vulnerable place. But even that, when parents tell you what to do, and when parents tell you how you should be, or even your close friends, there's this energy when people are telling you what to do, or telling you how to be. It just feels like you're being pushed in a corner, and it just doesn't fucking feel right. And you feel like you're trying to say things or do things that are gonna make those people go, oh yeah, you know what, Tommy, yeah, you're right, like that's exactly what you should do with your life. But the thing is, no one else fucking knows anything about you, or even if they know you very, very well, they don't know what your true inner guidance is. So how the fuck, if someone tells you to do something, if it doesn't feel right for you, why the fuck would you do it? Like, in all honesty, why the fuck would you do it? If it doesn't feel right for you, don't fucking do it. It's like, you've got to have the courage, you've got to have the ability to be able to sit back and have ways of understanding how your inner dynamic works. And I'm still talking about this success that we were talking about at the top of the episode, where this way of trying to lift yourself up to be accepted by other people, or that other people are suddenly saying, Tommy, you know what, fuck mate, well done, you've made all the right choices. And you're like, you know what, none of that felt right for me. But then when it comes to happiness, when true joy, true fucking happiness, man, it's like in those moments, there is nothing really, no external or outside experience that can really come in and say anything to you that's gonna that's gonna drive you away from what you're doing. Because happiness is this fuel, happiness is this energy inside you that comes out. And when you're in that place of happiness and joy, it's like nothing on the outside can penetrate what's going on within you. And and then how do you create those moments of happiness? How do you create those moments of joy? And I would almost bet that 9 times out of 10, the places where joy and happiness come from are not even places that you ever fucking imagine. They're not even places where you would even, I don't know. It could be a touch from your partner. I'll give you a perfect example. Me and my girlfriend were in the car the other day, and we were just driving. I don't know. I can't remember where we're driving, but there was just this moment where she put her hand on my leg. I was driving the car. She put her hand on my leg, and I just basically placed my hand on top of hers. And that was it. Inside, I had this incredible feeling of happiness and joy. And I really felt this really true moment of love and appreciation. And I could tell that there was just so much love coming from her to me. And I obviously the same thing back to her. And it just felt so fucking nice. And there was no words, there was nothing. And in that moment, I just turned around to her. I said, babe, do you know what? Like I did, we have this thing where every night we go, what are you grateful for? And I said, babe, I'll be putting that in the gratitude, this moment into the gratitude. So we'll be talking about this later. And we had this little laugh and whatever else. But it just feels so nice to have those little moments of happiness. But what that actually creates is that when you can have those little moments of happiness, even if they're not major things, that they can actually be the start, be the beginning of an epic day, of an epic fucking week. And it doesn't mean you have to hold on to it. It just means that it's from that place where you can actually start to make decisions from. It's from that place, that feeling of gratitude, that feeling of joy, that feeling of happiness, where you can really start making decisions from. And when you're in that energy of happiness and you're in that energy of joy, it doesn't have to be another person involved. Another perfect example, I was down the beach and I put my feet in the ocean, just went in the water, and I felt the cold all over my body and whatever. And I was just standing in the ocean, and I was looking out at the whatever, the arching of the world, or just looking over the ocean. And I just was like, fuck, man, like this world we live in is so vast. It's so big. Like, who fucking cares what's going on? Like, with all this commotion, the fucking, the bloody, what's it called? I don't even know what it's called anymore. Coronavirus, that's what it's called. All that type of shit. It's like all this stuff's going on in the world at the moment. It has nothing to do with your happiness. It's got nothing to do with your joy. It's got nothing to do with the fact of what you can create in this world. And so when you come back to this feeling of happiness and joy, then the question for you should not be, how do I become successful? The question for you should be, how do I create more happiness in my life? And you don't need other people. You don't need the the wise words of other people to tell you what to do. And you know what? This is coming from me, and this is a person that anytime I get into any sort of issue or any sort of challenge in my life, the first thing that I want to do, the first thing is call my best mate and go, Steve-O, I need to speak to you. You know, let's chat. I need to sit down with you. I need to fucking go through this. This is what's happening. All this shit's happening. I need to sit down with you and go through it. Oh my God, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? And that would be my first port of call. But as of late, I've really been listening to my own guidance, and I've really been listening to, before I go off and try and get advice or try and get any sort of guidance from anyone else, I just sit with shit and I just sit with it. And the fact of not knowing where to go, what to do, it doesn't actually matter. So if you look at things on a much bigger scale, if you look at things from a much bigger perspective, then you'll start to realize that when you sort of sit back and you just, you're in your own space, and there's no one there that's going to save you. There's no one there that's going to tell you what to do. You start to realize that the energy of true happiness, the energy of true joy, is having the courage to, well, it's not about making decisions, but it's just having the courage to live your own fucking life. And when you can live your own life and you can come back into yourself and you can look out at the world and trust that you're the king of your own domain. You are the person, you are the only fucking person that can make any sort of choices and decisions for yourself, regardless of what anyone else is telling you. Then there comes this sense of opening and vulnerability and being safe to be in that place of vulnerability and fear, you know, and being able to move forward and just go, fuck, I'm fucking doing this. I'm doing this. I'm going for it. I'm going to create more happiness. And that's the interesting thing, isn't it? Is that once you well, let's go back to success. If you got all the houses, if you had all the money, if you had all the things that you ever fucking wanted, you would get those things and you would probably sit back and you might enjoy it for a little bit of time, but you'd probably sit back and go, something's missing. And what's missing is your true joy, your true happiness. And how do you find that? So the question should be, how do I create more happiness? How do I create more joy? Not how do I create more money? How do I buy more houses? How do I do this, that, and the other? It's how the fuck do I create more joy? Because you will find that as you create more joy in your life and more happiness in your life, the other shit will just land in your fucking lap. And I had this conversation the other day with someone where there was, I mean, if you guys are listening now, you probably remember last week, there was like a $80 million jackpot here in Australia in the Tats Lotto. And I was talking to someone, I'm like, fuck, what would you do if you won $80 million? And I sort of sat back and I was like, do you know what? I actually don't think I would change much in my life. Like, obviously I'd buy a fucking kick-ass house, but in terms of myself, I'm so happy in my own skin. Like, even with my car and all that type of stuff, like, you know what, all of that shit, like maybe I'd get a newer model or whatever just for shits and giggles because I got 80 mil sitting there. But in terms of my lifestyle, I wouldn't fucking change a thing. Like, I love all the people in my life. I love my partner, my girlfriend. Fucking love her. I'm so blessed that we worked our shit out and we're in a really good place now. Well, not even now, but I'm just fucking glad that she's in my life. Like, I look at her and I'm like, holy shit, I'm a lucky fucker. I all the things, like my mates, I've got such beautiful friends in my life. My health, I fucking love my health. The last 6 months, you know, even the foods I'm eating, the exercise, all this shit, like, I'm feeling so good in my body. So there's nothing I'd really change in my life at the moment. Then if I had 80 million bucks in the bank, I'd probably just let it sit there. You know, maybe I'd do a bit of travel or whatever. But I mean, look, in terms of lifestyle, there's nothing that the 80 mil could give me that I don't have in my life right now. I mean, the only thing the other thing I did say was that I would probably get like a really epic studio for the podcast and make it look really fucking schmick. And I'd work out some of this technical shit I've got going on with the microphones and whatever else. And I'd probably get a producer on board that can actually do it. But that'll probably happen down the track because the podcast is doing so well at the moment. So, it keeps growing. So who knows? Maybe that'll happen one day, and I reckon it'll be next year. But anyway, that's not what this is about. But even that, it's about joy, isn't it? So having this happiness, this joy, this being able to move forward, and sitting in this place of joy. So then how do you create more happiness? How do you create more joy? And there's a way to do that. And the way to do that is, I believe, that the joy and happiness is something that it's like a tree, like a flower. It needs a little seed. When you can grow joy and happiness from this little tiny little seed, that's where it starts to move from. That's where it starts to grow from. And how you can on some of these documentaries where they've got that timer and they see a flower growing or a tree growing or whatever, and you see it over like 20 seconds, but it really happens over like whatever, a few weeks, where it just grows from the seed. Just imagine that in happiness and joy in your life. So if you had this little seed, and where do you get that little seed from? You get that little seed from those tiny little moments that I mentioned before. And in those moments, I mean, even, fuck man, my dog Chili, he brings so many moments of happiness for me and joy, where I just look at him and I literally want to kill that little fucker because he's so fucking cute. And in those moments, I remind myself, I'm like, holy shit, I've just experienced joy, I've experienced happiness. I'm not trying to hold on to it, but it's like, if I was in this place, how would I make this bigger? How would I make this grow more? And the way I would do that is I'd keep myself in that elevated space of happiness and appreciation. And then from there, I would do things that would encourage me to do other things, to take more action in those moments that I am feeling fucking epic and I'm feeling grateful and I'm feeling joy and happiness. And then you just try to keep adding on, so that's the seed. And then you have to remind yourself, because it's a work in progress to be able to build that happiness, build that joy in your life, and to be able to, really, really hook into that without trying to hold on to it. That's the important thing, I believe, because if you try and hold on to shit, it fucks off straight away. You can't hold on to anything, and nothing. As soon as you try and hold on to something, you're saying that you claim it, that it's fucking yours, but it's not. Even happiness is not yours. It's something that moves through you. So you have to understand that everything is it's impermanent. Everything's impermanent. So even when happiness comes in, it's going to fuck off. You're going to be pissed off in maybe an hour or whenever. You're going to be overwhelmed with work, or you're going to be freaking out about money, or you're going to have an argument with your boyfriend or girlfriend or whatever the fuck. But so it's not about holding on to it. It's about saying to yourself, "Ooh, I've got this little seed of happiness here." And it could be your son, your daughter, your dog, your partner, your boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever. That they could be the one that trigger that little seed. And then your job is to grow that seed. And to grow that seed, you will have to find ways of creating more happiness. And the way that you create more happiness is to do things that actually bring you joy. And if you don't know what those things are, then go on a fucking expedition, go on a fucking adventure, go on a journey to bring those things of joy. It doesn't mean you have to leave your home. You could literally look around your car or your home right now, and there would be something that you could look at that brings you into a sense of happiness and joy. Right now, I'm looking at my guitar, and I look at that guitar, and I remember back all the memories of me touring around the world and having a fucking epic time and touring with guys like Slash and fucking Tommy Lee and being one of the cool kids. I'm looking at my guitar right now, and it's bringing back so many memories that brings me happiness and joy. Even though I was a total fuck up back then, it doesn't matter. I experienced so many cool things in those times, and that brings me joy. But then, do you know what? Then it's just fucked up, isn't it? Because so many people are searching and thriving to get these things in life, which doesn't actually bring them any fucking happiness. Nothing. You know, I saw this. I saw this guy yesterday at an auction, and this guy, you should. Oh man, it was like he had he rocked up in a some Maserati or white some fucking epic car that's probably worth 300-400 grand, and he gets out of the car, and it's just it was like I saw the the filter over his eyes. You know, I saw the sadness underneath. Sort of what was going on there, and it was scary. It was fucking scary because I was like, man, it doesn't matter how much this guy will amass. There's nothing going to be that's going to make him happy unless he hooks in and finds these ways of creating joy and happiness for himself, and so it's those little moments that really allow you to really understand what's true for you, and what actually matters. And a lot of us, especially these days, a lot of us are actually totally going for it, aren't we? Like we're going, yeah, I want happiness, I want happiness, I want joy, I want to create it. And a lot of us have been given the space to be able to do that. And how lucky are we that we get to do that? But it's a little bit scary because there is going to be, actually, you know what, this is what it is. As soon as you go into any area in your life, and I mentioned this before, and people are trying to tell you what to do or how to do it or the way to be, you can almost guarantee that those places in your life are, you're going to have to follow your own guidance in those places, and you have to stop asking for people's advice. You're going to have to stop listening to what people are telling you, and lock in. Deep down how important whatever it is that you're doing. You know that deep down whether that's going to bring you true happiness or not. And if it doesn't, don't ever do anything for anyone else. It's your fucking life. Don't ever, ever, ever do anything for anyone else. It's your fucking life. There's a difference between doing something for someone else dysfunctionally or doing something for someone else out of pure love. But at the same point, you have to be happy in your own skin. You've got to know that the decisions that you're making are going to bring you happiness as well, because the whole fucking world is just a reflection of what's going on within you. That is oneness, isn't it? And that there is moments where you felt that oneness, where you know that deep down in your fucking subconscious, you know that when you look out at the world, it's a true reflection of what's going on within you. There's another little story. I'm going to tell you about Dad in a second because I promised you I would. But there was a little moment that happened the other day where I went and bought a soy cappuccino, which I think I spoke about a soy cappuccino on my last podcast, I think. But I bought a soy cappuccino just like I do every other morning. Sometimes an oat cappuccino, but this time it was soy. And I walked to my car, and no joke, the whole fucking cup of my takeaway cup, literally, as I sat in the car, turned upside down, and I dropped the whole coffee. The contents of the whole fucking coffee went into the cup holder. And I literally had the two little cup holders in the middle of my car full of fucking coffee. And I was just looking at it going, ugh, that's so annoying. And I so wanted the coffee. So anyway, I walked back to the coffee place and ordered another cappuccino. And the chick behind the counter goes, oh, what happened? You just ordered a coffee. And I said, oh, fuck. I just literally dropped it in my car. The rest of the other one's just sitting in my the coffee cup or the cup holders or whatever. She's like, oh no, you're about to have a shit day. What a shit way to start the day. And I was like, no, I'm not. I go, who? I literally said, I go, no, I'm not about to have a shit day. Who the fuck? Just because I spilled my coffee, big deal. I'm not going to have a shit day. And I actually almost had a go at her. I go, and I just literally went, no way. Like, why would I have a shit day just because I spilled a coffee? I'm not going to have a shit day. No, I'm fucking big deal. I spilled the coffee. I came and got another one because I feel like a coffee right now. I'm going to get in my car and I'm going to move forward I've just like any other day. And I actually had one of the best days I've had in a really long time. And it was my day started with me dropping the whole coffee into the coffee thing, right? Or the cup holder. So no one's going to tell me that I'm going to have a fucking shit day. Fuck you. Like if that happened to you and you reckon that you're going to go down the rabbit hole of going, oh, well, I've spilled my coffee, so now it's going to be a shit day. Well, fuck, you can choose that. I'm definitely not. Like, no way is someone else going to tell me or try and persuade me just because I spilled my coffee, I'm going to have a shit day. Fuck you. No, I'm not. I'm not going to have a shit day at all. I'm going to fucking have an epic day. So let me tell you about my dad because this sort of rolls in to this whole idea of success and true happiness. So, and this is quite a fucked up story, and I don't even know why I'm sharing it, but I love sharing shit with you guys, and I think I trust my listeners. Because I just trust you guys. So thank you for listening. So anyway, so how's this, right? I went for lunch with Dad the other day, and my dad, I haven't really talked much about him because we've got a very up and down relationship. But he was always there for me when I was a kid. But he's had a very, very, I don't know what you call it. Had a very successful life, and then he basically lost everything, and now he's not successful. But anyway, so Dad is one of these people that, or one of these older men that have a liking for younger women. And the way that he sort of pulls these women in is through, well, yeah, I mean, I guess through financial, or he shows that he's got financial wealth or whatever. Anyway, and this is how he basically lost all his money. But what I found out the other day is that Dad had a fucking kid with, one of these chicks, and and this kid's 6 years old, and literally me and Dad were having lunch the other day, and he no joke, he literally just said it over as we were eating brekkie or lunch or whatever, and he just said it. He's like, "Oh, by the way, I've got a 6-year-old kid." I'm like, "Dad, are you fucking serious?" So I've basically got a half brother, which I had no idea about. I'm just going, wow, like, how could you just how can you just tell me that 6 months or 6 years later? Like, he never fucking said anything, and now I'm like just sitting there going, "Wow, Dad." Anyway, and then he told me a few other things in the same lunch, and I'm just sitting there going, "Dad, are you for real that you're telling me this shit?" And it's like just a blasé conversation. It just absolutely blew me away. But my dad, he's 73 or 74. And he's definitely a guy that he has always had his eye on success, right? And and because of that, he was very manipulative, very very selfish, and a super fucked up way of living life. And I'm happy to say that because I'm actually said that to Dad myself, and I'm very very glad that I got to learn my lessons before I became anything like my father. But I do, but at the same point, I don't lie. Not actually. Let me rephrase that. I don't appreciate him and the things that he's done to me over the years. But at the same point, he's my biological father, and I have a level of respect for him, and I've been able to forgive him a number of times, including this time. And friends of mine go, "Dude, how can you?" There's this other shit that he told me about too, which I'm not going to go into, but my mates are like, "How do you actually sit at a table with a guy like that is just he just how do you do it?" And I just sort of sat back and went, "Do you know what? I don't know. I don't really feel much. I feel empathy. I feel a lot of empathy for my father. I really do, because I just do, because the choices that he's made has really led up to I guess, a lonely life for my father. but I still feel empathy for him, and I would, if I when I whatever, I would help him if he really needed help, obviously to a certain way, but yeah, it's a super weird one with that, because I've watched someone since I was a little kid constantly chase that level of success, and he's basically lost everything. He's fucking lost everything. I mean, even mates. Like he's doesn't have any friends. All he's got is tennis and his young these poor young women that I mean, they're not poor young women. My bad. I mean, it's their choice to be with my dad, but these, it's just a very surface lifestyle, and I've tried to talk to dad about that before, and he just doesn't, he's just not even open to listening to anything. I just accept him for that, and I just feel empathy. And I'm not saying that if you're chasing success, that's what's going to happen to you, because my dad is a very extreme case of narcissism. But what I am saying is that however old you are right now, this would be the moment, this would be the time to really reflect back on your life without having to do anything about it. Just a reflection back, and sit back and go, fuck man, imagine if I started like really seeding, is that the word? Yeah, seed, like started planting these seeds of happiness and joy, and where would they come from? And having the courage, the ability to really find out where those things come from. And as I said, you can do it from a very simple thing of just looking around your house, your car, or whatever, or even a memory that brings in this level of joy and appreciation, and starting to build shit from there. That is fucking cool. That's courage. And then in terms of success, it doesn't mean you have to be a poor fucker in order to be happy. It doesn't. Like I'm here, I'm doing my shit, I do all the things I love. Not yet am I like buying fucking $3 or $4 million houses or whatever. I'm not doing that. Maybe I will do that one day, but that will never be the driving factor for me. The driving factor for me is my heart, my joy, my happiness, and the ability to just be able to fucking love myself. To be able to look myself in the mirror and just go, that's a fucking cool dude. Like I'm happy being in this body. I'm happy being in the choices that I've made for myself. And you have to own it all. You have to take responsibility, which I genuinely talk about quite a lot. So anyway, guys, I'll finish it up there, because there's some epic things that we sort of covered, and it is just success versus happiness, and we're all we all have this ability to do it. We all have the ability to make life a really epic experience. And if you do need help to find your happiness and to be able to really lock into those moments of happiness, you can, fucking find a coach, find a counselor, find someone that's going to help you get there. And they're out there. There's me, there's a bunch of other people that can really help you connect into what that real source of happiness is, and that real joy. But I'm really glad that I got to share this stuff with you guys today, and that was episode number 63. And next week I've got such a cool guest on next week. She's a radio presenter, and if there's one woman I know that has some tenacity, it's this woman here. So I'm really excited about chatting to her next week. And so yeah, see you guys next week. Have an epic week, and it's coming up to Christmas now, isn't it? Which is fully happening. Can you believe it's Christmas again? Holy shit! Oh. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? What's going to happen this year? What's going to happen next year? It's the choices we make now that create the next little part of your life. I love you very much, guys. Go have a kick-ass day, kick-ass life. Fucking love your guts. And I will see you later. Signing out. This is Tommy Kendi.